This is the tragic story of Jerromy Brooks, whose big heart led him into danger. What started as a normal afternoon in Townsville, Queensland, quickly turned into a shocking moment when he got an urgent call from a local daycare center. But how did this ordinary man end up facing such a scary situation? Today, we'll explore the terrifying story of Jerromy Brooks that have left everyone shocked. Jerromy Brooks was a 47-year-old man from Townsville, Queensland. He was known as a kind, family-oriented person who loved his wife Narelle and their 3 children. Jerromy had a strong sense of duty when it came to protecting others. His wife often said that when it came to family and community, Jerromy was fearless. This courage, along with his kindness, made him beloved by all who knew him. It was a quiet Tuesday afternoon, March 19, 2024, and he was at home, enjoying a rare moment of relaxation. With his kids at school and the usual hustle and bustle of family life temporarily on pause, Jerromy was taking a break from his busy routine. The early autumn sun still beat down fiercely, a reminder that even as the seasons changed, Australia's intense heat lingered. Jerromy lived in a quiet suburb just outside the city, a place he had called home for most of his life. He had spent his years not only working hard to provide for his family, but also giving back to those around him. He was known for his big build and even bigger heart, a gentle giant who had a natural ability to connect with people, especially children. Jerromy wasn't a man of fame or fortune. He worked an average job like most, but he always prioritized the happiness and safety of his family. Jerromy had a deep respect for nature and wildlife, traits he passed on to his children. Although he wasn't a professional animal handler, he had spent years watching wildlife documentaries, learning about the different species that inhabited Australia's unique ecosystem. His love for animals, however, came with a healthy respect for the dangers they could pose, particularly the venomous snakes that roamed the Queensland area. On that day, Jerromy was sitting on the couch, maybe joking with his wife, Narelle, or browsing through his phone. Suddenly, a phone call altered everything. On the other end of the line was a concerned relative from Greenleah's early learning daycare, where Jerromy's nieces and nephews frequently played. The voice was frantic, as it described a snake that got into the yard of the daycare. They suspected it was an eastern brown snake. For Jerromy, this wasn't any request for assistance. His thoughts immediately turned to the children, imagining his own in that situation. Without hesitation, Jerromy knew what he had to do. He wasn't a trained snake handler, but that didn't bother him. What mattered most was the safety of those children, and the prospect of them being in danger was simply unbearable. With Narelle's cautious "be careful," Jerromy grabbed whatever makeshift tools he could find, a pair of kitchen tongs and some gloves, and rushed out the door. The 17-minute drive to the daycare center was tense, but Jerromy stayed focused. As he pulled into the parking lot, he immediately began searching the area, hoping the snake had already slithered away. However, as he approached the jungle gym and the back garden, there it was, slender, brown, and deadly. The eastern brown snake, which is second only to the inland taipan in terms of venom potency, was coiled and poised, waiting. Jerromy took a deep breath and stepped forward, holding only his tongs and a bag. He had faced challenges before, but not like this. This was not a case of bravery, it was instinct. The children were safe inside, but they were watching him through the windows, their innocent eyes full of wonder and trust. Jerromy could not let them down. The snake Jerromy faced that day was no ordinary reptile. It was an eastern brown snake, one of the deadliest snakes on the planet. Native to Australia, this species is responsible for more snakebite fatalities in the country than any other. Despite its relatively slender and unassuming appearance, it carries a venom so potent that even a single bite can be fatal within minutes if left untreated. Eastern brown snakes are fast, aggressive when threatened, and extremely dangerous to both humans and animals. Their venom contains a potent cocktail of toxins, including neurotoxins that affect the nervous system, procoagulants that cause blood to clot, and cardiotoxins that can affect the heart. It's no wonder the sight of this snake at the daycare sparked panic. The staff, fully aware of the danger, took immediate action to protect the children. They evacuated the yard, bringing the little ones inside to safety, but they knew that the snake, left unchecked, posed an ongoing threat. And so, Jerromy stepped in, determined to neutralize the danger, no matter the risk to himself. But the reality of what had just happened began to set in. While driving home, Jerromy began to feel the effects of the venom. It started as a tingling sensation, then turned into a pulsing pain that spread up his arm. He brushed it off, telling himself it was just the adrenaline wearing off, but the pain got worse with each passing minute. His arm was swollen and becoming increasingly difficult to move. With only a few minutes left on his drive home, he found it increasingly difficult to move the steering wheel. Narelle, his wife, waited for him in the driveway. When she finally saw her husband's car approaching, it was terrifying. Jerromy appeared pale, with sweat running down his face as if he had just run a marathon. Something was very wrong. Unable to move his arm any longer, Jerromy simply asked his wife to clean his wounds and apply some soothing balms. "I'll be fine," he told her. Narelle quickly grabbed the first aid kit from the kitchen. She wrapped his arm and tried to clean the bite marks. Every touch made, Jerromy winced in pain. He told her it was just panic, but she could tell it was more. His breathing became shallow and his heart raced. Jerromy could barely stand now. Despite his brave words, the venom was spreading quickly. His vision started to blur and his chest tightened. His arm was now completely numb and he could hardly move it. Jerromy's strength was fading. Narelle knew this wasn't just fear. It was something far worse. She grabbed the phone and dialed emergency services, but before she could finish the call, Jerromy collapsed to the floor. His body gave out, unable to fight the venom any longer. Narelle screamed in terror, but she acted fast. She followed the instructions from the emergency operator and began CPR on her husband. Her hand shook as she pressed on his chest. Time felt like it was slipping away. Every second counted, but Jerromy wasn't responding. Minutes passed and the paramedics arrived. They took over immediately, rushing Jerromy to the ambulance. Narelle stood frozen, watching as they sped away. At the hospital, doctors did everything they could. They worked tirelessly to save him, but the venom had done too much damage. Jerromy's heart stopped, and their efforts to revive him failed. He was gone. The news spread quickly around Townsville. The community was heartbroken. Jerromy had been a beloved father, husband, and friend. He had risked his life to save the children at the daycare. Now, the man who always helped others had lost his life. People remembered him as a kind soul with a big heart. His bravery and selflessness were never in doubt. Jerromy Brooks would always be remembered as a hero. He gave everything to protect others, and his legacy would live on forever. Thank you for watching. If you want to know more shocking animal attacks, click on this next video. Don't miss out. Hit the subscribe button for more terrifying stories. Until next time, stay safe.